Hi, this is John Peril, and I am giving my speech on persuasion for my public speaking class. My topic today is who was the best president? And in my opinion, it was Abraham Lincoln. Now, a great president must have the qualities of a great leader. These include integrity, honesty, having a vision, being a strategic leader, a great communicator. These things are vital and very important. Now, we have had many great leaders in our past as president. We've had LBJ with his domestic policy that helped people. We've had Ronald Reagan as a great communicator. We've had John F. Kennedy, who combated communism with the crisis in Cuba. We've had Teddy Roosevelt, who was great with the national park system. And these are just to name a few of the many. But of all these, Abraham Lincoln not only personified the greatest traits of these, but he was head and shoulders above the rest. And not only because he was the tallest president. Abraham Lincoln, he had a rough start. And just to touch on his early life, he lost his mother when he was 9. And he worked for his father, which was very abusive to him until he was age 21. And then he moved to Illinois. But the traits of the president were sown then and all of his life, because he didn't earn the nickname Honest Abe for nothing. Now, he joined the militia of the Illinois militiamen that was part of the Black Hawk Rebellion. Well, he was such a renowned with his men that they elected him captain. And in fact, one time a Black Hawk warrior came up to their camp, and the men were wanting to shoot and get him, this warrior, and Lincoln stopped them and said no one was going to do that. And he stood for this person that was supposed to be his enemy, but he did not treat him as an enemy. In fact, Lincoln didn't treat anybody as his enemy his whole life. And he, as president, he even stood firm on unpopular opinion that he held fast to free the slaves. And even though the North was leaning toward that on his campaign, he was making sure that he said the promises that he needed to do without compromising his own beliefs. And even as he got into office, the cabinet members he picked were not people that agreed with him, but people that he knew would get the job done, putting the nation's interests above his own. And when the Civil War did break out and he had his General McClellan, he would even go to McClellan's house, because the war was not going very well, and McClellan was kind of not a very nice guy, even making the president just wait on him. And people were asking Lincoln, why would you do that? And Lincoln says, I would sit there and hold the general's horse if it meant that bringing this war to a swifter end. Lincoln, he did what he had to do during the course. He made deals with many of the people of Congress. He only had 2 aides with him at the time, but he was the glue that held together our country, the North, during this crisis time, through his practices and his policies that he made sure got done. And in fact, some of the greatest speeches in history, one with the Gettysburg Address and with his Emancipation Proclamation freeing the slaves, because even at that time we had our Supreme Court had ruled in the case of one gentleman that he just because he was a slave in one part of the South and he moved north, they were saying, well, he's a black man, so he will never do any better than being a slave, and this was our duty to keep him that way. This was from our Supreme Court. But Lincoln still didn't back down, and he made that Emancipation Proclamation to free the slaves. And these were just a few of the things that he's done to be the greatest. So, as I have recommended against the other, referencing the other presidents, that he was a collection of all the best. And was an amazing man. So thank you.